right, so this is a little story. I was put out there before I ended up sick. I think this treatment I'm on it lowered my immune system, and then going out in public, I caught a little cold. But yeah, so it was the early 2000s. I was at SADF prison on my first prison term, and SADF's always been known for being a dangerous prison because of its setup. And besides that, at the time in the early 2000s, they still had green wall there. And it was just a bad situation all the way around. So when we walked to chow, there'd be building cops standing outside your building going to search you, pat you down and stuff like that. And then you'd walk around the yard to where the chow hall was, and there'd be more cops searching you and shit like that on your way in and your way out. Well, we're walking to chow, and it's about 9 of us, all skinheads. We're walking, all of us in good moods, just walking to chow. We get to the chow hall. Cop doesn't search, they don't search us going in. We eat and everything. Well, we're coming out, and as we come out, they tell us get on the wall. So we get on the wall. Cops go to start patting us down. Well, this one cop, who's a meat monster, as they're patting us down, remember everybody's got their arms out like this and your legs spread, and the cops patting you down, checking you for weapons and stuff. We go between the legs, and he hits one of the skinheads in the nuts. So dude's like, hey, what the fuck? And the cop's like, what? He's like, man, you're out of line. What the fuck's your problem? And he's like, what? He's like, you got a problem? And so at that point, we all started turning around off the wall. And the cops started yelling, let's get back on the wall. We're like, nah, what the fuck's going on? And one of the skinheads is like, man, what the fuck's up with your partner? Motherfucking dude wants to tap me in the nuts and shit. And the cops looked at him, and then so we stood there. We're like, okay, this is about to go bad real fast. And so now they got the cops flexed up, and we're flexed up. And the cops are like, look, take it back to your building. We'll deal with this in a minute. And skinhead nuts got tapped. He's like, nah, we can deal with this shit right now. I'm like, what's up with you? What's up? You just search everybody like that? You always tap everybody in the nuts and shit when you go up their legs or what? And the cop just standing there. He's built. SADF's always had big cops right there. Always healthy, good size, because it's always been known as a dangerous spot. The cop said, man, do what you want to do. The other cops were like, take back to your block. We'll call you back out after dinner's over. So we push off back to the block. We get back to the block. We're inside. We're in our cells. Well, the tower cop already got a call when we were walking back to our block, and was told which inmates it was to have popped out. So they get done running chow. Cell doors start popping open. My door pops open. Everybody else that was involved pops open. So we go down to the bottom, right there where the rotunda's at, and we're still standing in the day room waiting to go out. So we go walking out. We got like 15 COs all standing out there. Belts already pulled off, thrown in a pile. They got all the badges, radios, everything thrown down. So we go walking out. I'm like, fuck, man, this shit's all bad. I look, and there's some big cops. And it was like they purposely sent all the biggest cops over there, knowing that this shit was going to crack off. So they tell us, they're like, who's the one that got tapped in the nuts? And the skinhead, he's like, I did. That dude's he's a meat monster. What part of the searching is it that you could tap somebody in the nuts and get away with that shit? And the cops looked at him and was like, what the fuck? You brought us over here for some shit like this? Like you, and one of the cops said, like, hey, you said these dudes were getting loud, like they want to fight or something. You didn't tell us all this, that you smacked them in the nuts. So the cop was like, oh, it don't matter. They're still disrespectful. They're still trying to get down. So the cops looked at us and we're already all posted up. They said, what's up? You feel disrespected by this cop? And he said, yeah, I do. I've never been, all my years of doing time, ain't no cop ever tapped me in the nuts during a search. He said, all right, here's what we'll do. We're going to let you and that cop get down. But any of your boys rush, we're going to rush too. Dude said, all right, I'm good with that. They yell up to the tower cop, hey, look, there ain't no shots fired. We ain't radioing in anything. He feels disrespected. This cop was out of line for tapping his nuts. We're going to let him handle it. So I'm like, fuck, all right. So we standing there, and the cops are waiting, just waiting for us to rush. So the skinhead goes towards the dude, and the dude like starts to backpedal a little bit because he wasn't expecting that. He was expecting that we were then come out and all the cops were then rush us until they heard that the dude was on some weird shit trying to tap people in the nuts. So the skinhead goes at him a little closer, and he's still trying to backpedal. Finally, one of his partners said, nah, man, what do you keep trying to backpedal from him for? You want to be on some weird shit? Nah, handle that shit. You disrespected him. You brought all of us over here thinking that we're then jumped them because of you. Nah, handle that. So the dude came, he quit backpedaling, he started to come in, and the skinhead swung at him. The cop fucking did a quick little dodge, ended up hitting him. So they start to go at it. Well, the skinhead, he could fight. He was from Sacto Skins. He used to do MMA fighting back in the day. And he could fight. He would do MMA fights over at like casinos and shit like that. Go up to Reno and do MMA fights up there. So he was able to fight. So he tells the cop, like, look, I'm going to give you a couple more swings at me before I fucking turf you out right now. And the cop didn't know what to do. So he swung. He let him hit him. He swung again. And skinhead was like, yeah, that's the last time you didn't hit me. So we're still standing there posted. Well, they're still going at it. The cop goes to swing, and he missed. Went to swing again, and he missed. Skinhead gets on him. Hit him like 3-4 times, dropped him. Gets on him. And the green wall at that time, that let you fight. They're not they do no reports on it. So the officers are standing there, and they're letting this inmate be on him. And he's fucking him up. He split his cheek, his eye, busted his nose. So he stays on him for a minute. Finally, the officer said, all right, that's enough. You feel like he still disrespected you? He said, nah, I just wanted to make it a point. Like, I don't know what type of weird shit you on, but ain't nobody that be tapping us in the nuts and shit like that. I don't know. Send this dude over to some other yard or something like that. And the cop is like, oh, I'm going to file a report on this. The one that just got beat up. And they looked at him like, you ain't filing nothing. What do you mean you didn't file a report on this? It was your doing that brought this on. Now all of a sudden, now that you got beat up, you want to file a report because we didn't all jump when you're on some weird shit. And the officer ended up feeling played. So he ended up leaving our yard. We didn't see him ever again. And the cops ended up being cool after that. Because a lot of those cops, like, if you're disrespectful towards them, they didn't have it out for you all the time. And we always showed our respect, except for when it came to something like that. Like, we were never disrespectful. We wouldn't call them out of pocket. It's always been like, okay, they're the person in authority. We'll show them their respect as long as they're not disrespectful with us. Well, this cop, I don't know if he did it plain or if he was really a meat monster or what was going on, but he tapped the wrong one in the nuts. And who knows? He's probably been doing it to people all the time over there, just seeing who was going to have the balls to say something. Well, he turned around and did it to us, and it happened that the dude that he tapped was an MMA fighter. So after that, like, the cops were cool. They'd see us. Sometimes be like, "Oh, what's up?" And be like, "What's up?" And they wouldn't fuck with us. They wouldn't search us no more. Nothing. They leave us alone, let us be. Like, okay, well, they came out to handle their business. Even though they knew that they were going to get fucked up in the end, they still came out here to handle it, which is something we had to do. Like, who's saying that just because they're a cop doesn't mean that they didn't get away with shit like that? And as being inmates and skinheads, it doesn't matter who it is. Like, you're not going to be blatantly disrespected like that in public, especially by a guard. Now, we went out there ready to kick it off with all the cops, but when the cops heard what it was over, cops were like, "Okay, we're gonna let these two just catch one-on-ones," which we were glad for. We were like, "All right, cool," because none of us wanted to end up fucking kicking off a riot with the cops right there, and there wasn't going to be no medical or reports or nothing like that done. So afterwards, whatever shape you're in, that's what you're in, and there ain't no going to medical. There ain't going to be no report done on it. So pretty much it's a free for all, and that wasn't just the only time when shit like that happened. There was other times, like in the hole right there, and the hole was crazy. It's sad if the hole, you'd be there and they would call you out, and it was still group yard at the time. And the group yard, they would call however many cells it was, and you'd go out there and they'd have the tower, and they'd have your group yard with a couple little metal toilets out there, and they would have the handball wall, and the tower would be right above you, and there was a big, like, super soaker cannon on the bottom of the tower. So when incidents would crack off, they could spray you with like 50 gallons of a pepper spray and try to calm down the incident. But the tower officer that was up there was cool. He liked to see the fights. And I remember because it was my first time in prison. And I ended up in the hole after it was a riot with the whites of the Southsiders. And we were on the yard, and we already had our targets picked out. They already had their targets picked out, which is something you always do. Like, when you're on a yard, you know if something's ain't crack, you got your target picked out. So it's not like a random, like, oh shit, I'm gonna go after this dude. Nah, you already got your target picked. And I tatted in prison for a hustle and just for fun, made my time go by. And the south side of that was my target. He tatted also. So me and him ended up being cool because the whites and skinheads have an alliance with the Southsiders at the time. And me and the Southsider, me and him were the best two at tatting in our block. So me and him ended up being cool. And one day, joking around, he's like, if shit ever cracks off, you're my target. I said, that's good because, if shit cracks off, you're my target. And we started laughing and shit. Well, we're out on the yard and some shit cracks off. We're out on the yard. Riot kicks off. And as soon as it cracks off, this fool hit me with a fucking piece in the bag. It was on like a little fucking, like a little ice pick. But he hit me in the bottom right side. And at the time, I felt it like stinging. I was like, oh shit, what the hell? And he threw the piece. He hit me one time, threw the piece. Me and him start fighting. Yard goes down. They come out and they cuff up everybody. It's morning yard too at the time of this incident. So it's still cold outside. The ground's all frosted over and shit. They come out, they put everybody in the yard in handcuffs and zip ties. I'm laying there. He's laying there next to me. He's like, hey, man, my bad. You know, it's only business. I said, yeah, I know. It's only business. I ain't even mad. Like, because you know that's part of the game. Like, if something cracks off, it's over business. It's not personal. It's not something that you're wanting to do. But, yeah, so he hit me in the back. And then through the piece, he's like, I only hit you one time. I was like, it's good. I'm not even tripping. So me and him were laying there on the ground and we're chopping it up, still talking and shit because we were still cool. It was just business that had to be done. Well, we're out there all day, all the way until dark time. So when the yard went down, they started releasing the chow hall workers. So when the chow hall workers were coming out, as soon as they hit the yard, they started going at it again. So they hit the alarm again. They start throwing more bombs and shit out there. They come out, they cuff those dudes up. And it was funny because they cuff them up and they bring them out there. And everybody's laughing. We're like, man, there was only a couple of them. So it wasn't like the first riot with the whole yard cracked off. It was kind of like comical. And so we're still out there, and they go to bring out later on that day. They go to bring out the kitchen workers again for the dinner shift. And those fools, as soon as they come out, you hear the building go off, and the building alarms start going off and shit. It happened again, and so we were still laid out because every incident it was pushing us farther back from them finding out what was going on. Well, so I ended up going to the hole and shit. Well, the dude that had started the riot, he had started it over some money, which was a stupid ass thing to start it over. And so we get to the hole, and it's still group yard there. And the tower cop was cool. He'd let you fight. He'd tell you, like, we'd be coming out the yard, and he's like, as soon as we were all in cuffs and out onto the group yard, and they'd have the other group yard next to us, it'd be like the whites group yard here, southern group yard here, and northern group yard here, or black group yard here. And the tower would be like, all right, what do you guys want to listen to? And because he kept a big old radio up there, he'd be like, what do you guys want to listen to while you do your workout? Somebody yell up, I play this. He'd be like, all right. And he's like, just remember, I don't hit no alarms for fights, so make sure it's a good one because I'm ready to watch. And we'd be like, what the fuck? All right. So we sit in there, we do our workout and shit. And it was always we did our workout first before any incident happened because we were going to make sure that everybody got their workout done. So we were doing our workout. And the dude that had started the riot, we were running the routine, and it was me and another dude from Sacto. And we were the two in the front, and we're facing all the rest of the group who's doing their workout. So we'd be doing our workout, and it would be like us here and the other one here looking at us. Well, so we do our workout, and then at the end, it was the kid who had fucked up and started the riot. We said, all right, look, well, you still owe some. You owe some for kicking off this riot. So he's standing there, and me and the dude from Sacto, we continue our workout to do because we're going to do it with him. That way he sees like, okay, just because you fucked up doesn't mean that we're not going to continue this discipline with you. So we do it. And then afterwards, he gets done afterwards and he starts getting mouthy. Well, that's the wrong thing to do when you're already being disciplined, is to get loud or mouthy and shit like that. Especially when you got a tower cop that says, hey, look, I'm ready to watch the fights. Make sure it's a good one. So he starts getting mouthy, and that's all it took was for him to start getting mouthy, and two little youngster skinheads that were ready to make a name for themselves came up behind him. They come up behind him. One of them cuts him in, ends up cutting him from like right below the ear on the jawline, and it rips him all the way across almost to the other side. And that kid didn't know what to do. He tried to start to fight, and from the adrenaline or whatever, it was like 30 seconds of him trying to start the fight, and that fool fell out. The tower cop, he said, damn, that was a quick one. And yells to, hey, go ahead and flush those, hurry up. Dudes go to the toilet, start flushing their pieces. Then he hits his alarm. Cops come in and they're asking what happened, and there's no spray. And they're asking the tower cop, like, hey, what's up? What happened? He said, I don't know. I don't know what happened. He's like, did you see the fight? Cop's like, no, I didn't see nothing. And so they bring him out and shit, and we're like, damn, that was unexpected, because that wasn't the plan. It wasn't that the dude was in get removed. He was in do his DP and shit like that, and when he goes back to the yard, he was in some cleanup. So if next couple things that came up that needed to be handled, he was going to be the one handling it. But when you're already being DP'd and you're already in trouble, you don't want to get crazy with the people that are in control, especially when they're already mad that they're in the hole because of you. And especially when you got like corrupt cops and shit like that just allow like watching the fighting and the violence. And anyway, so yeah, that was just a little story of SADF and like the little incident with the skinheads and the chow hall officers and shit like that. Thinking back to it now, it's fun. It's a funny story, but at the time we were pissed off. We were like, "Oh man, what the fuck? This meat monster wants to smack dude in the nuts and then bring 15 cops over to jump us." We were pissed off, but in the end, it ended up being funny. The cop ended up getting beat up, got removed from the yard. We never saw him again. But all prisons are dangerous, regardless of where you're at. Some are a little more dangerous than others. Back in the day, it used to be Corcoran, SADF, High Desert, and stuff like that, which were the dangerous ones to be at, along with Salinas Valley and stuff like that. But my next video coming out will probably be one on I'm gonna probably do one on San Quentin and my experiences right there. So tap in, hit the like, hit the subscribe, show your support for a new channel. And I remember all the stories here are true firsthand experiences in my life. Not like some of the bigger channels where they're just putting out content on stuff that they didn't even really experience.